Tonight on CFTK-TV News, big changes to the highly contested Safe Supply program in BC. A Terrace employer is recognized with an award, and Skeena MP Taylor Bachrach speaks out on the future of Via Rail.
Northwest BC's only television news team. We are CFTK-TV News.
Hello, and thanks for joining us on this Thursday, February 20th, 2025. I'm Jaylene Matthews. We begin tonight with our news local to the Northwest. This morning, an employer in Terrace was publicly recognized for the way he treats his employees. CFTK-TV's Cale Maslin has more.
Earlier today, the president of an internet service provider company that is located in Terrace and is called Sienna Networks was recently presented with an honor known as the Canadian Armed Forces Liaison Council Employer Appreciation Award. Robert Chapman later described in an interview how it felt to receive this award.
I'm extremely surprised, actually. I did not know this was coming. We do like to be very fair in how we support the communities and what we can do for our staff and our flexibility. So to receive an award for that is very good. I'm very surprised that actually happened, and I'm excited for it.
Chapman further emphasized his company's focus on flexibility by making sure that his employees can take some time off for extracurricular activities and even assist them with resources if needed. Chapman was nominated for the award by his business development and services manager, Zoltan Pastelovich, who also elaborated why he thought his boss was a fitting winner of the award.
Because he's been really good for whenever I had to go to him for any exercises, requesting time off for the Rangers. Even, a couple of times within a month, he had no problem giving me time off. I would say I need time off for going on an exercise, and then I would need time off for doing a course, and he had absolutely no issue giving me time off for when it came to the Rangers.
Pastelovich thought this nomination was also a good way to show appreciation for Robert for all the ways he has helped make his life a little bit easier. For CFTK TV News, I'm Cale Maslin.
Skeena-Balkley Valley MP Taylor Bachrach gave his thoughts on the Liberal government deciding to award a high-speed rail project that will run between Toronto and Quebec City to a private consortium. Bachrach said that he has become very concerned for the future of Via Rail in rural communities due to this announcement, especially since the corridor that covers a stretch of land from Prince Rupert to Halifax currently generates over 80% of the company's revenue. As the NDP's transportation critic, Bachrach has been very vocal in his desire to see improved rail service, but is hoping to see it done in a way where the general public is the main benefactor, not private companies. In the local sports world, the CIHL semifinals will be underway this weekend as we're down to 4 teams in the chase for the Cameron Kerr Cup. Here's CFTK-TV's Damian Smith with a preview on the Hazelton Wolverines, who are in the Final Four.
Well, Jaylene, it should be very interesting heading into the CIHL playoffs with the Terrace River Kings coming in with a 16-2 record, and the Hazelton Wolverines, who also had a great season, coming as the number 3 seed in the overall standings, and both teams are going to be going up against each other here in the semifinals.
Overall, we've had a pretty good season. We've got quite a bit of depth on this team this year, and they've all bought into our systems, and I just feel like we've succeeded quite well this year.
Now, the Wolverines actually lost their first game against the Rampage in the quarterfinals, but came out with 2 key victories on home ice to secure the quarterfinal win. And now they will be going up against the Terrace River Kings, who hold the number 1 seed in the entire standings.
I thought it was a battle the whole series. They picked up a new goaltender that played in the NCAA Division I, and he was pretty solid. And their whole team really, they've been a strong team for quite some years now, and they weren't going away quietly.
And the 13-4-1 record is actually the best regular season record that they've recorded in their history, which is a slight bump from their 13-5 record recorded in the 2024 season. They now look to capture their first Cameron Kerr trophy and are looking to make the finals for the first time in the organization's history.
And ever since the COVID-19 pandemic, the Hazelton Wolverines have been on a steady climb in the standings, coming up to this year where they've been in back-to-back situations in the regular season where they have been in the top half of the standings. And right now they will be on home ice for game 1. However, coming into the series as the number 3 seed, the game 2 will head back to Terrace, and a possible game 3 will also be in Terrace if the situation does present itself as a best of 3.
Well, they've been a really good team for at least 3 years now, and it's great to have lots of teams in our league that are competitive, and so we enjoy that. But yeah, no, Hazelton's definitely a very good hockey team, and we've played them, like I said, at least 3 times now in the playoffs, and we expect a tough hockey game.
And right now, the River Kings are the team to beat as they won the regular season, they won the playoffs last year, and they also won the Koi Cup for British Columbia. So they are the team to beat, and the Wolverines will be up to the test. From CFTK-TV, I'm Damian Smith.
Thanks, Damien. The town of Smithers has sent out a reminder to residents to provide feedback on the draft Smithers Economic Development Plan. The purpose of the plan is to reflect the town's current economic landscape, help make decisions, enhance the community's well-being, and to put Smithers in a position that makes them a great place to do business. Residents have until tomorrow to give their thoughts. Coming up next, justice is served to a BC Alberta human trafficker. A big change to the highly contested Safe Supply program in BC. Drug users must now be supervised when consuming the Safe Supply, converting it to a witnessed-only model. Here's CTV's Robert Buffum with more.
The NDP government is overhauling its safer supply system, requiring healthcare professionals witness anyone using prescribed alternatives.
We need to know that medications, including prescribed alternatives, are being used by the person they're intended for.
The change after months of criticism that the controversial program allowed diversion of prescribed alternatives like hydromorphone into the wrong hands, causing deaths and fueling gang activity. A reality exposed recently by a leaked health ministry memo acknowledging significant diversion of such drugs, some trafficked internationally by criminals.
When I heard the minister say that they would be ending unwitnessed, it made me emotional because it made me think of the very first time that a parent had called me and their child had died of a fentanyl overdose, and they found these Safe Supply hydromorphones in their room.
The province says about 60 pharmacies were bad actors, allegedly providing kickbacks to users and enabling diversion. An investigation of those shops is ongoing. Meanwhile, question period was dominated by calls for more action.
Now that the Premier recognizes his experiment has failed, when will he call a public inquiry?
The unfortunate thing is some people are going to lose access to this program because of a difficult decision to move to witnessed ingestion only.
BC Conservative MLA Claire Rattay battled addiction and was homeless on the downtown east side. After her experience, she believes more treatment spaces are needed.
Just handing out free drugs is not going to fix this problem. They're killing people.
Facing more than 16,000 deaths from toxic drugs and growing concerns about BC's drug trade, the issue will likely feature large in many future question periods.
Robert Buffum, CTV News, Victoria.
And advocates are worried that the new rules on Safe Supply could actually end up causing harm. Here's CTV's Isabella Zavariz.
Now, I recognize that this is a difficult change for some.
An understatement, according to some drug policy experts and harm reduction advocates. The change requires users to consume opioids in front of a healthcare worker, a barrier for many.
You cannot expect somebody who is working 7 days a week to actually start going to a pharmacy 3-4 times a day.
Guy Felicella says he worries it will only create more harm.
What will happen then is that it will probably deter people from the program and their recovery journey and drive them back to the unregulated drug supply.
The consequences especially dire for those in remote communities.
If you think about northern BC, daily dispensing is impossible. travel is impractical or impossible.
The Canadian Drug Policy Coalition is questioning the province's role.
It's basically government saying that they get to make a medical decision that a prescriber, a doctor, or a nurse practitioner needs to be making.
The Safe Supply program has just under 4,000 patients. It offers prescribed medications as a safer alternative to the illicit drug market. But concerns about criminal diversion has the province trying a different approach.
There's not evidence that these prescribed medications are driving harm, are driving death.
We're going to keep working to support law enforcement in their work to finding and stopping gangs and drug trafficking, so we can turn the tide on this drug crisis.
A crisis that continues to claim thousands of lives every year across BC. Isabella Zavarisi, CTV News, Vancouver.
Some justice now for a young woman who was subject to trafficking at a very young age. Here's CTV's Michelle Bernero.
His name is Cameron Alexander, and Crown Counsel says he's pleaded guilty in an Edmonton court to trafficking someone under 18 and obstruction of justice. According to an agreed-upon statement of facts, the accused was 29 at the time of the offenses. When he met the girl in BC in 2022, she was just 12. Court documents indicate the accused had previously acted as a driver and bodyguard for the girl who had been engaged in activity involving adult men paying her money so they could engage in sex acts with her. After being reported missing in BC, police found her in an undercover operation linked to online sex ads in Fort McMurray. The accused was later arrested in Vancouver on a Canada-wide warrant. While at a remand center in Edmonton, court documents say he repeatedly spoke with the girl despite a no-contact order, telling her to say she didn't remember anything. The agreed-upon statement of facts also say Alexander encouraged the girl to recruit other women to become sex workers and then to send him the money. Sue Brown with Justice for Girls says BC needs to do more to fight human trafficking.
What we know from our work generally is that girls as young as 10 and 11 and 12 can be groomed and lured into trafficking, and it seems as though the ages become younger and younger.
She says that while our province funds prevention programs, it falls short when it comes to protection for young trafficking survivors.
We don't see that we have specialized safe houses for children who have been trafficked, for example, in British Columbia. We don't see that we have specialized victim services workers who are adequately resourced and available throughout the province.
She points to Ontario, where there is specific legislation to keep victims safe and dedicated prosecutors and police. The accused returns to court in Edmonton later this week. Crown says it's asking for a sentence of 9 years prison. The defense wants 5.5. Michelle Bernoro, CTV News, Langley.
And now turning to your Northwest weather report. This evening on the North Coast, showers are in the forecast. Southeast winds 20 kilometers an hour, gusting to 40, except gusting to 60 over exposed coastal sections. Temperatures steady near 8 degrees. Over the next few days on the North Coast, conditions will remain relatively consistent with steady rain, daytime temperatures around 8 degrees, and overnights a slightly warmer 6 degrees. This evening in the Terrace-Kitimat area, showers are expected as the temperature sits around 1 degree, 20 kilometer an hour winds overnight. Over the next few days in Terrace, we'll be getting rain as well, with temperatures getting as high as 7 degrees and overnight lows in the 2-3 degree range. Tonight in the Bulkley Valley and Lakes District, it's looking cloudy with a 30% chance of flurries this evening, snow beginning near midnight. There is a risk of freezing rain this evening and overnight. Snowfall should be around 2 centimeters, winds up to 15 kilometers an hour, temperatures steady near -2, wind chill near -4. Looking towards the weekend in the Bulkley Valley and Lakes District, it's a mixed bag with a chance of flurries Friday, warming up to showers Saturday, and then a mix of sun and clouds on Sunday, with the temperature warming all the way up to 8 degrees. Overnight lows sitting around 1 degree. Checking your highways around the Northwest now. On Highway 16, slippery sections east of Prince Rupert and water pooling. Slushy with slippery sections between Telegraph Rest Area and Maintenance Boundary and Telkwa to Fort Fraser. Limited visibility with blowing snow and compact snow through Doreen to Whitsett. On Highway 37, blowing snow and slush, as well as slippery sections and compact snow. Industrial traffic 9 kilometers north of Kitwanga to Meziadin. On Highway 37A, there is a special event planned, Meziadin to Stewart. The road will be closed overnight for an oversized load move. Slippery sections on Highway 118, Telegraph Creek Road, and the Nishka Highway. Still to come, cleanup at the Pearson Airport. Welcome back. Cleanup is now underway at Pearson Airport as aviation experts try to piece together exactly what happened. Rahim Ladani for CTV News provides an update.
Multiple cranes have been brought in to carefully secure and remove the fuselage, which remains on Pearson Airport's runway. Earlier, the tail that was sheared off the aircraft during Monday's crash landing was lifted and loaded onto a flatbed. The Transportation Safety Board continuing its investigation into what caused the plane to flip over.
Something went wrong in the last 10 seconds of this flight.
Bag by bag, crews are pulling out pieces of luggage, which were left behind by the escaping 76 passengers and 4 crew members. The plane, which burst into flames, then turned upside down. Inside, passengers can be seen hanging from their seats.
We have data that shows that a 1,000 feet per minute descent rate had built up just prior to touchdown. That's about almost twice as what it should have been.
Come on! Delta Airlines CEO says the crew on board its regional CRJ-900 jet was experienced and trained for the conditions. The aircraft was attempting to land during high winds and drifting snow. The recovered black box has been sent off for analysis, which aviation experts believe could take weeks. The airline says all but one of the 21 people who were taken to hospital have been released. Meantime, a husband and wife have retained a Toronto law firm, claiming they were instrumental in getting people out of the plane and suffered serious personal injuries.
There was some difficulty in getting one of the exit doors open. Her husband was the 4th person to try that and was able to do so. When she looked outside to see what she was going to encounter, she was flooded with fuel, jet fuel.
With 2 runways still closed for the investigation, along with above average snowfall over the past week, people traveling through Pearson Airport continue to cope with mass flight delays and cancellation.
Rahim Ladani, CTV News, Toronto.
Turning to the stock markets now. The Canadian dollar rose 0.17 cents. The price of gold rose $20. Oil rose 38 cents. Natural gas was down 13 cents. And aluminum rose by $49. In Toronto, the TSX dropped 112 points. The Venture Index rose by 5 points. In New York, the Dow Jones dropped 451 and the Nasdaq dropped by about 94 points. Still ahead, the goalies that wait in the wings. BC health authorities say another case of measles has been confirmed, this time in the Vancouver Coastal Health Region. It marks the 2nd confirmed case of the infectious disease in the Lower Mainland. The health agency says it is following up directly with people known to have been exposed to the disease. And goalies are arguably one of the most important players on a hockey team, but they don't come a dime a dozen. CTV's Kevin Chirac reports on what happens when the backup goalie needs a backup.
By day, they're either studying or stopping pucks for the UBC Thunderbirds. At night, you'll likely find them at Rogers Arena, reporting for duty as NHL E-Bugs.
Emergency backup goalie.
Doran Luding and Cole Schwabius split time as the Vancouver Canucks backup goaltenders.
That's pretty nice. Getting the free food and the free tickets is huge as well, but also the chance of 1 in a million chance of getting on, and being an NHL player is the best part.
Most e-bugs end up watching the games from the stands, only getting the rare chance to play if both goalies go down. It's only happened 6 times in NHL history, but it's produced some memorable moments. Perhaps none bigger than when e-bug David Ayres, a 42-year-old Zamboni driver, saved the day for the Carolina Hurricanes.
One goalie goes down, other goalie goes down, and that guy comes into the room and he says, put your gear on and put the rest of your gear on.
His game-used stick, now in the Hockey Hall of Fame.
He's the best.
There's Chris Levesque. And Canucks fans may remember back in 2003 when another e-bug, also from UBC, nearly got the call.
He's got a midterm tomorrow at UBC.
Chris Levesque was backing up Johan Hedberg when this happened.
Hedberg is hurt, and the backup is a UBC goaltender named Chris Levesque.
Hedberg ended up finishing the game.
So everybody always asks, like, oh, you think you'd be nervous to go in there? And your answer is always yes, right? But I think it'd be, yeah, such a cool experience. Probably one of those ones where it just kind of fears go away and you just play.
While e-bugs getting action requires a bizarre set of circumstances, Canucks goaltender Thatcher Demko has been dealing with injuries, recently leaving a game in the first period. So Cole and Doran are keeping their NHL dream alive for good reason.
I think anytime you get to kind of be part of something like that, it's such a high level of performance, right? It's pretty special.
Kevin Chirac, CTV News, Vancouver.
Finally, a story of returning to culture one sash at a time. Here's CTV's Michelle Gerwing.
So when a voyageur would get a contract, they would get a solid red sash, which was generally loomed in Europe.
The evolution of the ceinture fléchée goes a little like this, from solid red to a multicolored Assumption sash for those who could afford it, to a Coventry sash.
In the 1850s, they started making this pattern, which is really a copy of this other pattern, on looms in England, and now we had an affordable sash that was available to the masses.
Today, the Arrow sash is Miguel Villefort's business, a journey he unknowingly started in the early 2000s when the Métis storyteller and student was pining after an authentic wool sash to complete his voyageur regalia.
I didn't think I could make a penny doing this. I just wanted like real sashes, because all you had was like polyester sashes, the only thing you could buy.
He says historically most sashes were made in Europe and shipped to Canada. His sashes are imported here too. They're made in Peru by indigenous Quechua women.
The idea is like, a rising tide floats all boats. So if we do well, the Peruvians do well.
Most hired as single moms.
I'm just at the start of the new generation. We have three kids over 18 and they're all in university. There's 2 engineers and 1 nurse.
The partnership was first woven together 18 years ago when Villefort saw a woman hand-looming this traditional Peruvian sash at a street market. He couldn't help but notice the similarities. Since then, he's learned there's much more linking the two cultures together.
When I'm with those people, it just feels like you're with cousins.
The same familiar feeling he gets when he sees people wearing a sash proudly over their winter coats at Festival de Voyageurs.
You cannot look anywhere at the festival without seeing a sash. So I think it's just really cool. It creates a certain atmosphere that's hard to describe.
Michelle Gerwing, CTV News, Winnipeg.
That's our news for now. Thanks for watching.